love handheld gaming. No, I really do. I love my Steam Deck so much. It has helped me try to go ahead and play more games as much as possible at every opportunity when I'm not able to be at my desk with my 7900 XT and 7700X CPU. I can stream them either through here, through my home network, or just play them natively on the deck themselves. And it's really been fantastic to see. The one thing I've really wanted to see, though, is a true competitor to the deck directly. I know the Asus ROG Ally exists, and I know there are some other models as well, but what I've really wanted to see on top of that, though, is Xbox and Microsoft push into the handheld gaming market, because I feel that is going to be where the future actually lies for gaming itself. And why do I say that? We are in a generation right now of people that have grown up literally playing games on their phone specifically, and people wanting their own dedicated screens to do that. Instead of having to go ahead and share a TV in the living room or buy another TV directly for where they want to play games, they have it right there in their lap, in their hands at any specific time. And I think that's where gaming is really going to be going, and seeing a lot of great hardware being pushed in that generation as well. The thing is, though, Xbox needs a ton of work in that space. I've talked about this before, and having a lot of ideas like using decompilers to go ahead and provide backwards compatibility for Xbox 360 games and even Xbox OG games onto the PC platform would be a fantastic thing. The Xbox PC app is a dinosaur of an application, and so many of my friends right now are still trying to figure out the right way of using it and having it being active in the background in order to gain Microsoft reward points while playing video games. So many things that Xbox and Microsoft do in the gaming space is like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. It never does the right thing the way you want it to do. And unfortunately, it turns out that because of these specific things and even the release of SteamOS, the handheld from Xbox may in fact be delayed. Now, here's the thing. The handheld from Xbox was never actually announced, so the delay is not even actually confirmed. But in an article from Windows Central by Jez Corden, he had some inside information, and let's talk about what was said and then go from there. Jez Corden writes for Windows Central and said this: "I come to you today with some fresh news about Xbox's handheld plans. Previously, I reported that Microsoft was working on a native Xbox handheld alongside the Xbox Series X successor, planned to launch around 2027. It now seems that Microsoft's priorities have shifted somewhat." Just to emphasize here, it's not Xbox's Asus device Kennen that is being pushed back. It's Microsoft's own internal Xbox handheld that has been shelved for now. I have a variety of code names for this unseen device, but it's unclear as of writing which exactly is the correct one. At the moment, it seems there are 3 prototypes in development for Microsoft's Gen 10 effort, with the handheld being parked for now. I think Microsoft really has to get this handheld right the first time. They really cannot go around and expect to just put Windows on a handheld device, launch that bad boy, and have it run directly and have no issues whatsoever. And using Asus as the guinea pig is not a bad idea at all. The thing is, everybody has been going around and saying the most ridiculous they possibly can about Xbox's own handheld device, and even Project Kennen with Asus directly saying it's not going to play Xbox games, even though Xbox games are in fact play anywhere, and there is a small subset of those games not available in that service. The problem, though, is this specifically. Xbox has to do the one thing they have failed at consistently over and over again at, and that is messaging. You can get mad all you want at me about that, but stop me when I'm telling lies, and honestly, baby, I'm still here. Xbox has always had a problem with going around and providing the actual consumer clear, concise information on what their device or service actually does. It's always been muddled in some weird way, and it never provides you with a clear answer of what in fact will be happening. If Xbox decides to not shelve the handheld device and even go forward with the PC console hybrid that people have been rumoring around, it has to be done right the first time. And the biggest hurdle around that is going to be Windows itself. Absolutely. Windows 11 is a travesty, full of telemetry issues, spying on you, AI garbage, the fact that they always move the start menu around, it never works the way it's supposed to. And I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle for them directly. And on top of that, their biggest competitor is also their neighbor, and that's going to be Valve. Jez Corden continues by saying, indeed, Microsoft still wants to build its own Xbox handheld in the future, but Microsoft has decided to prioritize its teams to improve Windows 11 gaming performance, specifically for devices like the Asus partner device, Project Kennen. It's possible that the existential threat from SteamOS, which on paper delivers better gaming performance than Windows 11 itself, has informed these decisions. Our sources have indicated to us that Microsoft is still deeply investing in developing its own Xbox gaming handheld technology in the future, but it was announced internally today that the priorities are moving more deeply towards third-party OEM handhelds in the interim. Remember when I brought up just before that segment about Valve specifically and Steam? Well, that's going to be the bigger problem. And like I said before, Windows itself is a point of friction for the handheld device to work correctly. If you used a Steam Deck, you know that is one of the best experiences to have on a handheld device. So many people talk about wanting to have a ROG Ally for Windows specifically, and really, they don't honestly know what they're missing until they get their hands on a Steam Deck. The ease of use for desktop mode, the ease of use for game mode, and the way everything is structured and designed for the consumer and user is always in the best option for them directly. Valve has been working on this for a very long time, and SteamOS today is not what SteamOS used to be either. It's gone through a lot of iterations. And the thing is, Microsoft has to get Windows 11 working correctly in a lightweight handheld mode that can play all the Xbox games that you have either digitally on your library or even through Play Anywhere and directly into that handheld natively in a good sense. It has to be lightweight, performative, and work correctly. And the thing is, right now, even Windows 11 on the desktop doesn't even do that right. If you want to take a really good example, Dave2D did a really good side-by-side with using the Lenovo Go S with the SteamOS and Windows itself directly. Now, he used the Lenovo Legion Go S, one having SteamOS, one having Windows 11. They were both the same kind of device, and when you see the differences in performance and battery life, things get to be a bit shocking, honestly. During Dave2D's testing, here were the results. In low to medium settings for Cyberpunk on the Legion Go with SteamOS, it had 13 more FPS on average than the Windows version. For Helldivers 2, 5 more FPS on average. For Doom Eternal, 9 more FPS on average. For Spider-Man 2, 1 less FPS on average. And for Witcher 3, 10 frames per second more on the SteamOS version than Windows on average. And I know what you're thinking, oh, Alex, a few FPS here and there, that's not a big deal. But you know what is a bigger deal with handheld devices? It's battery life. And when you see the differences, that's where the shock is really going to be able to set in. With battery life on Dave2D's testing, you actually had 23 more minutes of battery life simply by moving to SteamOS instead of Windows 11 for the Legion Go S. For Hades, you had a full 2 hours extra of actual battery life instead of Windows. 2 hours on the Windows version, 4 hours on the SteamOS version. For Dead Cells, it was even a greater disparity. You had 2 hours and 47 minutes on the Windows version of the Legion Go, while on the actual SteamOS version, you had a battery life of 6 hours and 12 minutes. That's a 3-hour battery life increase simply by switching the OS directly to Steam. And I think Microsoft and Xbox saw these variances and they saw these numbers and they said, we cannot sit here and walk around with a brand new handheld device that is having our logo on it strapped to it and getting mollywopped by Valve directly simply because they have a better experience overall in this platform. Windows has to go through a massive restructuring for being able to be put onto a handheld device and being able to have proper driver support, proper implementation, Bluetooth support, and everything else on there directly. Right now on my Steam Deck, it's all done in game mode through the menus. I don't have to use a touch screen. It's all done easily and useful. And the thing is, Windows is not designed for a tablet or even a handheld device, and everything just comes off awkward and really weird to use. Having to use the touchscreen constantly, having to go around and try to figure things out on that end. And even at that moment in time, the battery life is the biggest crutch of all. Frame rates, you can get better here and there every now and then, but the fact that there's so much issue with how Windows 11 operates on a battery directly doesn't help their case at all. It has to become more lightweight. It has to become more gamer friendly. And the Xbox PC app has to have a direct game mode, so that way it's a simple ease of use process in order for the handheld to be something to use directly and easily for every single consumer. Microsoft has too many friction points in how they operate with Windows, and especially with the Xbox PC app. And if they don't solve those problems first and foremost, then they're going to go ahead and shortchange themselves, and the entire handheld idea for Windows and Microsoft and Xbox will in fact be dead on arrival. The UI and the OS has to be able to be user-friendly enough to not have any issues happen, stop people from deleting System 32, because even on the Steam Deck, if I totally screw something up, it'll automatically reboot itself and restore all the files that I accidentally removed, basically just keeping me in a nice walled little garden of Linux and not having to go ahead and do anything stupid like I would normally do when I have a new device, because I like to break things when I get them. That's how I learn, basically. But Xbox and Microsoft have to take a lot of pages from Valve directly and realize what SteamOS is doing right and what Windows could in fact do better. It has to be able to go ahead and give you an easy way of adding new shortcuts that aren't part of Xbox's lineup already into the game mode UI, provide new ways of adding artwork, and then still give the ability for the power user to have access to the desktop as well, and not restrict the person who bought the product simply because they want to safeguard them directly. Microsoft has to do a lot of work for this handheld specifically, and if they don't, it's going to fall by the wayside. And I personally would rather have Microsoft and Xbox focus on Windows 11, making it better overall, which would make my PC gaming experience better overall, than to go ahead and rush out a product and have it fail and fall flat on its face because they didn't want to work on the operating system and have Valve basically just steal the lunch right from under their own noses. Now, Jez Corden in the article also said this: it was always a bit unclear if Microsoft's handheld was designed to be a native Windows 11 gaming PC style handheld or more of a native Xbox console style experience. We potentially now have the answer. It seems that it was indeed meant to be a device that could run full Xbox games, but Microsoft has decided to prioritize its teams on the partner opportunity around devices like Canon, at least for now. I've been told that Microsoft still has big ambitions and is investing heavily to deliver the native Xbox handheld, but the shift is about prioritizing and allocating resources right now. There have been no layoffs or anything like that as a result of this reprioritization. And that's really a big factor as well. If Xbox was going around and saying, hey, we have to go ahead and make sure our partner software and our partner stuff works correctly with Asus as well, that's a good thing, because they got to make sure if Project Canon is actually launched with their brand on it and their logo on it, it works correctly. And this could also be a beneficial thing, because if the Xbox handheld does in fact play all the old Xbox games either digitally from your library and you have them contained directly on that one piece of hardware, and access to PC games and access to Steam, that is going to be beneficial not only for the handheld coming in the future, but also the console if it's going to be a PC console hybrid like everyone's been saying in the rumors. There's a lot going on here that really people are trying to run around saying, Xbox dead, get out of the hardware space, this is the beginning signs of the end for everybody, just be a publisher. And honestly, that would be the worst thing possible. That would give only the ability for people to buy a PlayStation or a Nintendo Switch, and that's not a great sign, because we've seen how anti-consumer those guys have been, even with Microsoft at the helm. These guys are taking the cake on that. But the reality is this: we don't know what Xbox is going to be planning with the hardware, and hopefully their handheld being shelved for now will provide a better experience overall in the future when and if it does come out directly. And that would be the best thing of all. If they can take the pages and learnings and examples from Valve and everyone else and apply them directly to their own handheld and consoles, that would be a great sign, because that would give a lot of users access to a lot of more power in terms of actually being a power user and adding more things like Steam and Epic Game Store and GOG and etc. to their consoles and handhelds, but also give a good experience overall for the person just wanting to go ahead, install a game from Game Pass, play it natively on their handheld, and have access to their entire library no matter what and when they bought it. That would be the ideal thing. But the thing is, Microsoft and Xbox have always notoriously been half-assing so many things. And I'm actually in a better position right now to say, hey, I think it's a better idea for them to focus more on Windows and making that work directly in a handheld version. Because if they can get that fixed and have that running correctly, then it's going to be a better outlook and a better sign for things in the future, not only on PC gaming, but also in console gaming as well, to have a better experience overall for the user and a better experience in general, rather than having the traditional Microsoft put it out now, fix it later, just give it full of bugs and repeat Windows 8 all over again. I don't want that ever again. Never again. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Do you think the handheld is kaput, done, finito, canceled? Or do you think this is going to be a good sign for things moving forward in the future? On top of that, if you want to see more of this kind of content, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, hot takes in the gaming industry, and live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 84,000 subs. And I just want to say, thank you guys so very much. Oh, and if you want to go ahead and get Discord access or most during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, come on down. You'll love the streams. Everybody there is amazing, and I get insulted for about 5.5 hours with AITTS. You're going to have a hell of a time, I promise. With all that being said, though, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next time. Peace!